All right, guys, I was just piddling around the shop and a buddy of mine called and he drug out a piece of equipment I've been wanting to video for almost 2 years. So we're gonna go check it out. All right, I rounded up Gunner. You're gonna go with me, aren't you? Yeah. You really need to clean this truck out, buddy. Look at this. I don't even have a place to put my Pepsi. It's a mess. Hold on. Before we go, we need to back across the driveway because Chris says we need to take about 10 rocks. So Cleveland's got some rocks left over there from whenever he did the ditch.
Dad, I can't get this.
So let's go. We gotta go get a lot of rocks. We're gonna back right over and get some rocks. See the rocks back here? You gonna help me pick them up?
Small rocks.
Yep, that's what we need, small rocks.
They won't crush big rocks?
I don't know, we'll have to find out. Let's go load up. What size rocks you think we should take?
Just take any.
I say we take some big ones, some medium ones, and some small ones. You already found one? All right, let me make some room back here. All right, you ready? We got our rocks loaded up. You got your seatbelt on. Let's
And water from yesterday.
And water from yesterday. Let's head to Chris's house and see what we got. All right, Gunner. Short little trip. We made it, buddy. Whoop! Slow her down. Here we go. If you guys remember, there was another video filmed here. This was actually the job. We did the first job with the 120 when it came out of the shop. We took down that great big sycamore tree. I told you guys then that Chris had some cool stuff. We're gonna get to see some of it today. Looky there, buddy. He's already got it hooked up, man. Let's go check her out. All right, Chris.
Yep.
Joe.
Yep.
First off, thanks for having us down here. So what in the world do we have here?
It's a rock crusher.
A rock
lime maker.
So this is all the information of it. It says a sling hammer pulverizer, serial number P394. What's the 18 by 12? What's that size stand for?
The size of the jaw.
That's the size of the jaw?
The jaw, yeah. The jaw is 12 inches wide and 18 inches long.
So approximately how big a rock could you feed in that?
Oh, you could probably put a good 12, 13 inch rock in it.
Okay. So I guess my main question I have for you is what year is this thing?
Well,
approximately?
We really don't know. May the 17th, 1898
was the first patent date.
Okay. So it's 120, 130 years old.
Right.
So
and it was originally run by a Kenton steam engine off the farm where we got it at.
Well, that's my question is back in 1900, why would somebody have this on their farm?
They made lime for their fields.
And what's the lime do to a field? The calcium helps take some of the...
breaks the nutrients down so the crops can take it up.
So it's basically a form of fertilizer.
Right,
yes.
yeah. Now,
So
the nutrients is in the soil, but you know, if you don't have anything in there to break it down, the calcium and magnesium that's in the limestone is what breaks it down.
to allow it to release those
Right. And
nutrients.
if you put fertilizer on and you don't have anything in there to break it down, the fertilizer don't do no good.
Gotcha. So they would basically hook this up behind their steam engine. So they go, like in our area, which I'm sure is a little different than more area, would they just pull this around the field, find random rocks and throw in it?
Yeah, pretty well. That's what they
So they didn't have like a quarrying operation on their farm. They were just busting up whichever, like
What
instead
they
of
could
throwing.
find.
So instead of throwing the rocks to the side of the field, they'd throw it down this thing. So
Right.
And most generally, there was a outcropping of limestone.
Right.
Anywhere where this came from, the area was there was crops of limestone sticking out everywhere. They would take and they would go around and they would actually take hand churns and they would drill holes in the limestone and put dynamite in there and then
they
bust
it up, and then that would give them their
and
lime.
that would give them the rock. If it was too big, then he took a sledgehammer and busted it down to where they could get it in a crusher.
That just sounds like a lot of work. So I'm guessing back in the 1900s, it was a luxury to have a steam engine.
Yes.
And it would really be a luxury to have one of these.
Yes.
So would like a bunch of farmers go together and get one, use it on multiple farms, or?
They do that back from what I understand back in the day. That's what they done. But I know the farm that this come off of, and they bought everything themselves, but they did go around and help other farmers just in the local area.
Just like some farmers do today, you know, one farmer would buy it and then the other farmers would hire them in this situation.
Exactly. Basically.
Gotcha. So this is, well, I guess my next question I have for you is, how in the world did you end up with it?
I talked to the gentleman about it, and he ended up passing away. Mark Ward was his name, and I just didn't feel like going back and asking his widow and stuff about it. And then one day I saw her and I asked her about it, and she said it was still there.
It was just sitting in the woods, right?
Sitting, yeah. The front end was broke out from underneath of it. And she said she knew that we was working on buying it, and she would still sell it.
This piece right here was broke out.
Yes, this piece here was broke out, and I had my buddy Steve Pace build a brand new one for me. I've still got the original one, but we couldn't fix it.
Gotcha.
He tried, but it's just like more like a cast steel, and you put a little pressure on it. What happened? This ears broke off.
Gotcha.
We can't get it to stay on there.
But this is the original.
Yes, that is the original. Everything on it's original except for that piece right there.
So this thing sat in the woods for probably, what, 100 years?
Yeah.
Without being used?
Yeah, exactly.
That's crazy.
I'm gonna tell you, you can get a shot of that right there. It's still got the one of the trees
cool.
growed up through the spoke that
That's
I
pretty
saved.
cool. So once you got this thing drug home, which this thing probably weighs, what, 6,000-7,000 pounds, a big guess?
It was a chore.
I'm sure you just hooked the tractor up to it and she took right off.
No, it took us over a
Hey
year.
Chris, that's how stuff works on YouTube, man. You should try it.
Yeah, it took us a little over a year to get it all freed up to where it would work.
So whenever you say freed up, everything was froze, everything was stuck.
Yeah, everything was stuck. The bottom
Trough
that's
right
a
here.
trough auger screw, which I made a compliment or a thing about the piece on the front, but this piece here we had to make this too.
Gotcha. So what a lot of people don't realize is limestone will eat stuff alive.
Yeah,
If it keeps moisture in it, it'll just eat it alive. So this trough right here, there's basically a auger that runs in there.
Yeah.
I'm assuming the rest of this would be something that went up into a pile, or
yeah, and like the horse and wagon would come to the side of it, and it would aug up in that wagon.
Okay.
And dump in. But
so either way, there's still just a lot of manual labor involved in this.
a bunch.
Everything back then was manual labor. You didn't have no luxury back then. You know, everything was done.
Well,
by
they
hand.
thought they had a luxury when they had this.
Yeah.
That beats swinging a hammer, busting it up.
This is true. This is true. I've tried that a few times. It's no fun. So basically, the way this thing works is it's like we got a big flywheel here.
Yes, the jaw is back here. Inside here is the jaw. This
We'll
is
get
where
some-
you put the big rocks.
And we'll get some video of this run. So basically, this one stays stationary.
Yeah,
right?
this one's stationary, and this one here
just
moves.
kind of moves in and out.
Yep.
In and out.
And this is
Oh yes, there's
the wheel, and this is offset, and this will move
kinda-
back and forth like that.
what was this for lubrication, I guess?
Yes. They're hard to get up. There's one. That's just lubricates that shaft in there.
So all this was stuck.
Almost. This here was actually still loose, but all the bearings, we had to take all this out and put grease fittings to get grease to go around
them.
Yeah, but as far this here is hooked to this back jaw, it was actually free.
Gotcha.
And
Okay.
these are different from this. And then the chain, this chain was all froze up, and we just kept lubricating it.
So is that the original chain?
Yes, this is an original chain on this.
So
And
it's a
that-
pretty good indication this thing didn't have a whole lot of hours on it whenever it was new.
No. And that chain just runs down, and that's what runs that auger to push the material out the other side.
And then this is why they call it a hammer mill, correct?
Yes.
So this drum in here, so the rock comes out of the jaw, which would be right here.
Yes.
And then it comes down into here, and these little things, all they do is just swing it around and just beat that rock into a dust.
And then these are grizzly bars in here. That's where your lime will go through that.
So that's basically what screens it
Yeah,
to go
that's
out.
how big that rock has to be, or the lime has to get down to before it goes through.
So unlike a modern crusher where you can slide different screens in for different size material, this thing was made just to do lime.
No, these can be taken.
These can be taken out.
Right.
Yes, they can
They
make a
could be
bigger
taken
rock.
out and different.
Well, Joe, I hate to be Mr. Obvious, but I don't think you're just going to pull that out of there by hand.
They're in sections. They're in sections about so long.
Well, I'm not going to make you
now
take them
then-
out. I'm not going to make you take them out to prove them. I'll just take your word for it.
Now I'll put a little statement in here. I worked for a stone company.
And I can vouch for
We
that.
had one of these,
Really?
and it was 4 foot, and it had hammers in it, and we had grates in there, and we would wear them out, and we would have to change them. So you can take a look to see what it would take in order to get it cleaned up enough to where you can get the grates out.
I think we'll just use those for today.
Well, yeah,
That sounds like a good idea.
but you can see how much wear that it has on
So,
it.
like, let's just say hypothetically you bought this new, Joe.
Okay.
I'm not saying you're old or anything. But, do you think it come with a kit of grates, or do you think you would order different size grates depending on what you were going to do?
I would say that it probably came with the specified.
So you got this machine with that grate, and then if you wanted a different grate, you bought it.
Yeah, you would buy your grates.
Now,
ready.
with your knowledge, a modern crusher would basically have the jaw, which is what we got back there,
Yeah.
and then it would have shaker decks. And the material would get screened out by whatever size it was, by whatever size
Right.
is in the screen, right?
They were called grizzly bars, and you would dump it in a hopper, and it would feed out, and then these grizzly bars was spaced so far apart.
And then it just keep.
All that stuff, small stuff.
So the
would
big
feed
stuff
out.
got eliminated on the top, and the farther down you went, the smaller it was.
Well, yeah, this was on the shaker screens after they went through the
Right.
pressure.
I guess my point of that conversation is the technology to bust rock today is the exact same as it was back then.
Okay, and I'll guarantee you, you can take a blueprint today and lay it down beside of this jaw right here, and the jaws are made the same way.
That's crazy.
Because what you
Yes, they did.
you have an off-centric shaft here on your drive, which causes the jaw
motion to
move
go
up
back and
down.
forth.
Yeah, and what that does, the stationary jaw sits there and don't move. This one here, it'll come up, it'll go in, and it'll go back down.
So that's how it's kind of sucking that rock down in there.
And when that rock drops down in there, you see when it's back here, a new rock falls in, and it hits it, and it pushes it down, and it cracks it.
Right.
And actually what the jaw crusher does is pinch it. This beats it.
Right. That just pulverizes
This
it.
is just pulverize it.
But that gets it small enough to that can do its job.
Right, there you go. And these things can be set for different
Gotcha.
size stone that you want. You have an off-centric shaft. Down at the bottom you have a toggle plate which sets in the jaw, so that bottom jaw will set up and down. And they got shims in there where you can shim that out or shim it up.
I always wanted to be like the Wright brothers. I'm going to put this to an airplane. I'm going way off track here. But the Wright brothers, I always wanted to be the first guy that tried something new. Like, could you imagine, like, all right, boys, we got our belt. Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
This is a little more my speed than the airplane.
Yeah,
To give those
exactly.
boys props, but
Yeah, my feet stay on the ground.
But you know, whether it be a tractor or an engine or even new stuff built today, you know, being the first guy to turn the key or
Yeah,
click in
it's
the
amazing.
click in the PTO or
Right.
because I'm sure these old timers were smart. They knew what was probably going to happen, but you really don't know until you
Yeah.
Try it.
until you go for it. So, go ahead, Chris.
This here's your wear plate, and you can tell it's not wore hardly any.
So this is a pretty good indication this thing's pretty low hour machine.
Right, exactly. And that's where the stone will get up against that, you know, in between here. So
So basically, it kind of stays up in here until it gets beat enough. It'll go down through those grooves,
Yeah,
and then it'll come out the bottom.
Right.
So
It stays in there and goes around and around and around and around until it gets small enough to go out one of them holes.
So what, you have any idea what the horsepower requirements would be for this?
it needs to turn.
Right here.
It's 1,500 RPMs, I think.
It's got to
what it said.
turn this direction. There's an arrow casted in,
Okay.
and then over on the other side there is it got the RPMs
Yeah,
on
1,500.
1,500 RPMs is what it's got to spin.
And then, like, so what would you think? How many horse tractor would it take to do that?
I think.
Well, they pulled it with a 20-horse steam engine, whatever.
But steam, I
20-horse
guess it's
steam
hard.
engine.
It's hard to explain. A 20-horse steam engine was probably what, a 30,000-pound tractor.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's huge.
That'd be like a 60 or 70-horse tractor today.
Yeah. Well, let's see. That is what 35, 30, 40. No, it ain't either. There's about 20 horse.
20 horse.
Yeah, 18, 20 horse is what that is.
Plus, you know, you can also change your RPMs by
The size of the.
the size of your pulleys.
So let's talk about the pulleys here real quick. I think one thing a lot of people don't realize is that pulley's got a crown to it.
Yes, that's what keeps the belt centered.
And that's extremely important, is
Yes,
having
it
that
is.
crown, because that keeps that belt from walking off one side or the other. Whenever I was a kid, I always wondered, like, how in the world does that belt stay on there?
Yes.
Well, that's the trick right there, is that crown. So the other thing is you got a twist in your belt.
Yes.
That's for a reason.
Yes, because if I just run it straight to the tractor, the belt would operate the piece of equipment backwards.
Right.
So you twist the belt and it makes it run the opposite direction.
Gotcha. So that's the road, because you can't make the tractor run backwards.
No.
But by putting that half twist in that belt,
Yes.
it'll change the rotation.
Change the rotation of it. Make it rotate the opposite
And
way.
then another thing is kind of an advantage to have it twisted is to keep your belt from slapping up.
Slap it up and down.
Yeah.
And I guess it don't hurt that belt at all to rub on itself there.
Nope, sure don't.
So what's this made out of? Do you have any idea? I'm
That
asking a
is-
lot of questions. I'm sorry.
Yes.
It's a fiber. You can see it's a fiber woven belt.
And it don't take a whole lot of tension. I mean, as far as between the two to keep them.
So since we're on a belt subject real quick, I'm gonna go get something. I'll be right back.
I'm the master of getting sidetracked.
Yeah.
All right, Chris, you got us a belt for show and tell.
Yep. Now, this belt is different. This comes out of the Tell City chair factory. This is
So that's a local chair company that was pretty prominently known throughout the United States. They even got furniture in the White House still today.
yes.
Unfortunately, the chair company's long
It's
gone now. Yeah.
So I was lucky enough to get a belt out of Tell City Chair. We got to looking at it, and it's laminated. It's laminated together. It's thin and it gets thick. So
It's like that all the way around.
it's like that all the way around, and that is made out of buffalo hide back
Really?
in the day. Yep.
And it's hard telling how many hours of runtime that belt has on
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
I mean, it's
Exactly. I ain't researched it. I don't know the material they use to bond it together. But I'm sure
there's a chance that belt probably ran 24/7 for 30 or 40 years.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. I'm just save on to this old stuff because that's disappearing.
Hey, it's a
man.
piece of history, man. It is a piece of history. So,
Exactly.
all right, Chris. So, what power plant we using today?
It's an old Farmall H.
Is this your pride and joy?
Well, it's my pride, I guess.
It's not much joy.
Yeah, it's been work now. It's a utility tractor. It's Ohio County Road Commission.
So, is that why it's a different color?
Yeah, a lot of people don't understand. If you bought like 4 or 5 tractors back in the day, the dealership would paint them any color you wanted them.
The actual dealership would?
Yes.
Really?
Yep.
Yeah, that's not going to happen today.
No.
Heck, John Deere won't even acknowledge I walked in the building.
But in 1950 only, they made a white tractor. But this is not a 1950. This was painted this color for the Ohio County Road Commission.
Gotcha. So they requested this color.
Yeah, they requested this color, and it was a utility tractor, so it pulled like a grader down a gravel road or something like that. That's what it done.
So if this tractor was on the farm back in the day, I mean, most farms back then were way smaller than what they are today.
Right,
And most farms only had one tractor, right?
right.
So this one tractor would sit on the farm and run a threshing machine, run a rock crusher, run
Yeah, and it's a
portable sawmill.
two bottom plow is what this tractor's considered, and you know they disc and everything else with them. So.
And Farmall today is owned by International, correct?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yep.
All right. So where do we go from here? I got the random question. I got questions, man.
Okay.
What was the purpose of the tricycle front end? Kill people?
No.
What do you ask there?
What's the purpose of the tricycle? Is it just because it's a simpler design?
Row crop.
Row crop.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you
You
could
can come
so
to
the
the end
so the row would come right between here.
Yeah, you spread these wheels out and you'd have 2 rows. These wheels could be spreaded out.
Okay.
and you plow 2 rows at a time. And whenever you come to the end of the field, you could take and steer it around and touch that brake and come back in the next 2 rows right beside you.
And you couldn't do that if you had a spread front
Wide
axle.
front end, you wouldn't be able to do it.
So they
What
were-
you'd have to do, like today, you know, whenever they do it, they may go down 6 or 8 rows, you know, and then come back in.
You're trying to tell me they didn't have auto steer on these, Joe?
Yes, they had auto steer when you use your brake.
God,
I mean,
no,
it'll spin.
Oh, yeah,
you
it'd
get
spin right around.
It'll spin. That
So
wheel
but
will set right in the track where it's at, and you spin it right back around.
But they were a little bit on the dangerous side.
Yes.
Right.
On hills.
They
Yeah.
were designed for flat.
Flat ground. Yeah.
Yeah.
But also, they shipped them, and when they put them on railroad
Oh, I
cars,
guess they could
They
interlock.
could hook them that right side by side and put
I never
twice
even
as
thought
many.
about
If it was
that.
a wide front end, you couldn't do that.
Never even thought about that. It would make a lot of.
Yeah.
You can get a lot
If you
more.
want- if you
Chris
wanted-
probably knows that because he can get more in his barn.
If you wanted a wide front end tractor, they would ship it to you with the tricycle. Then you take it to the dealer, and the dealer would put you a wide
Wide front end on it. So the dealer did a lot more work back then.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All
They
right.
don't do that nowadays.
No, the dealer services went. Anyways, all right. So, what we're gonna fire her up and just kind of look and see what she does, and then
right.
We'll fire tractor up, and you can get some shots of it
right.
operating while see if this whole thing will fire up.
All right.
I don't know if it will or not.
let's stand back here a little bit, Gunner, and let them do their thing.
Always got to turn the gas on.
There it goes. You ready? See how many little bit of hammers in there, and if they close that up, they'll be going around, and that's what'll bust all that rock up. I'm not going to go in front of that, but right now you just got the hammers going,
Yes.
and that shaft comes all the way through,
Yes.
and you got a separate belt over here.
It will run a belt over here that runs the jaw.
Gotcha. So basically, that's just a friction clutch there. You got a block of wood back there holding that up.
Yeah, and it's pretty simple. You'll just got a pulley here, and just come back here. It's weighted.
Gotcha, which is this big weight right here.
Yes, sir. So I use a little block of wood, pull it out, and then you slowly engage it.
There she goes.
You can see here where it's offset.
It don't move a whole lot.
No, it does not. And you can get a shot of the jaw. It's right inside here. And you can see where it doesn't move.
I don't hardly move at all.
He's calling up to get it. But when you engage it, it engages the chain.
Okay.
It runs the auger out the side to get all the lime out from inside the box.
I mean, it's not pulling the old tractor hard, but she definitely knows she's over here.
Yeah. You wait till you start throwing some rock in it. Then it'll start pulling. So we'll shut everything down,
Okay.
button everything up,
All right.
and then we'll throw some rocks in it
I can't wait.
and make little bitty rocks.
I'm excited.
All right.
right, Gunner, we got her all back together. They're making a few adjustments on the belt. You ready to make little rocks, big rocks? No, it's the other way around. We're gonna make big rocks, little rocks.
Well, let's see if this baby will fire up. Still original 6-volt.
Really?
Yes.
Is that why she cranks so slow?
Yes. Because it throws little rocks up out
Oh, I
there.
see that.
So,
I let him put the first rock in, Chris.
You want to put the first rock in, Gunner? Climb up there.
up there.
Do we need to engage it first?
Oh yeah, hey, we got to engage it first, okay?
See, I'm more than just a guy being a nuisance.
You got it? So here we go.
All right, Gunner, throw it in there.
Push it in there. There you go.
I got way far to come out there. It's not near as loud as you think it would be.
No. So, I'm going to put a rock in there and you can take your little camera and video
Put that.
it.
All right, guys, watch your eyes. I can sit there and watch that all day long. See it coming out there, Gunner? That's the bigger rock you put in there. You can hear all the rocks up there in that hammer mill. It's just beating it all to death.
Get it up to 1,500 RPMs like it's supposed to, that'll come out a whole lot finer.
So how fast would you say it's running now?
I'd say maybe 1,000.
Really? So it needs, it should be turning a little fast.
This tractor here has got a very slow PTO on it.
So that's what it goes. That's what it goes in as. That's what it comes out as. The farmers would take that, put it on their field. Pretty cool, isn't it? All right, you guys can't have all the fun. I gotta throw a rock in.
We'll give another shot of that.
It's crazy how little that dog is, Jack.
Down underneath, you can see what's called the toggle plate.
Oh yeah, right there.
Yeah, that's what holds the bottom side of that jaw.
And that's also what's working it into the hammer part.
Right, it turns up here, and this pivots down here on the bottom on that toggle thing. And it's got to go up and down too as the jaw turns. Because this is an all-centric shaft. What
three nubs.
I think I'd turn it into a game. I'd be back here tossing, you know.
Cornhole.
You want to put some more in there, Gator?
Right, pull it in there.
Good job.
Here you go.
You want that one?
Here goes nothing.
Keep going. Oops, all right.
Here you go.
Oh, that's a big one. That's a big one, Gunner.
If you shut it off and there's still rocks in the bottom,
Yeah.
you've got to open it all back up and clean
Oh,
it
because
out.
they'll get stuck and they'll get jammed in
And
there.
it won't start back up.
So how long will it take it to process itself through?
Oh, the last rock here, you're probably looking at, I'd run it probably 5 to 10 minutes just to make sure it's cleaned
Everything's
out.
through. You can hear him still going through there.
Yeah. We're just very lucky we got it.
Oh no, that's cool. You know they weren't very common back in the days. You don't see a lot of them.
Right.
So now we just got to hope your tractor's got enough gas in it.
It'll be okay. It'll be fine.
We did the first rock and Chris goes, we gotta go fast. And I'm like, I got enough gas. Right there, step right there.
Yep. Pull yourself up there. Go ahead up. Step
Yep.
up in there.
Climb up there.
Climb up there.
There you go.
Stand button right there.
This button.
Yes, sir.
Shut her down.
Push it in.
Hey, good job. And we didn't run out of gas.
No, we didn't.